Oh baby. Who's excited for this? G'day everyone, DARQs here, and today I just quickly wanted to talk about something which everyone's been talking about at the moment, which is Konami's announcement and release of the alpha for Beatmania 2DX Infinitas. Now Infinitas is something which people have been wanting for a very, very long time, which is an official Konami release for a home-style Beatmania 2DX simulator, which obviously ended back in 2009 with the end of 2DX Empress for PS2. So naturally, they had a lot of problems trying to figure out what they were going to do after that finished, and whether Series would be released on a third-gen console, or whether they'd be able to reprogram it for HD, etc, etc. So obviously, it seems that they've gone along the route of releasing 2DX as a PC-based program, and it's just very exciting to see that they've actually come up with a solution for Sirius and beyond. And I say Sirius and beyond because obviously they haven't called it 2DX Sirius, they've called it Infinitas. And I personally got very excited when I saw this, as did many other people. A lot of people have contacted me asking what I think about this, and I thought I'd just make a quick video since it's been a long time since I've done a video talking about both the pros and cons of Infinitas as it stands right now. So without further ado, I'll start with the pros. Now, the great thing about it being on PC is it's just an executable file that everyone would be able to obtain, meaning that anyone with a computer will be able to play Infinitas, whether they play on keyboard or controller. So it means that the game is much more accessible for people if they release it on this platform, which I'm very happy about. I mean, it doesn't limit people to having to buy consoles or specific controllers or things like that. If you have a PC, you can play 2DX, which I think is the greatest advantage. It has huge potential, massive potential for what it can do for the game. I mean, not only does it open it up to many, many more people, it also allows for Konami to consistently release new and exciting things. One of the greatest things about the CS releases for me was the fact that there was always unique content on each style. So alongside the standard style release of songs and content, you also got extra things. For example, extra options. They released Sudden Plus and additional high speeds in red, which weren't existent in the AC versions at that time. Not only that, you get more songs. I mean, every single style you get at least 4 exclusive CS tracks. For example, with, what was it, 9th style, you had Beyond the Earth, which was one of my favourite charts and songs at the time. You had things like Hype the Core for 10th style, which I thought was incredible, and I'm really surprised they haven't put into 2DX yet. The other thing which I think is fantastic is that finally there's a way of people to play at home and support Konami, because in the past, as we're all well aware, if people wanted to play the game, you had to get the software through means which weren't really supporting Konami. This included LR2 or HDDs. With Infinitas, they've got a way of reaching out to a global audience in a way which will support the money and continue allowing it to grow and prosper in the future. So I think all of these things are fantastic, and it means that people have the opportunity to play the game, experience content, potentially content exclusive outside of arcades, and also support the company. Even though a lot of people aren't happy with Konami, I still do want to support Beatmania, as it is still thriving and still producing content which I enjoy thoroughly. Now, I was fortunate enough to be able to play the alpha thanks to Zythar, who managed to get into the alpha test, so huge shout out to Zythar for letting me come over and give the alpha a go. It was very interesting coming in just out of the blue to play. It seems that they've taken the layout, the initial layout from the base Tricoro programming. A lot of the options are based off of the AC options from Tricoro to Sparta, and I noticed a lot of similarities in the options menus for that. As for the song list, it was very, very restricted. For the initial list, it was only 7 songs, and they all ranged up until Sirius, which I think was the original plan for the CS release. So there wasn't anything new and exciting there from the get-go. Obviously, people have found things or unlocked things which are exciting, such as the Eyes Long version, which I'm playing in the background of this video. But I didn't get to play them, even though I managed to amass, I think it was 280 DJ points. There may have been an update which changed that, because I played very early on in the alpha. I played on the Friday night, or not the Friday night, sorry, the Thursday night. So I may not have found or had these things unlocked for me at the time. But during that time, there were only 7 songs. I didn't manage to unlock Anasarchus or V, which were also apparently in the alpha test. But given the song list I had, I could get a very good picture of what the release will be like and how it felt overall. Which brings me to the cons. And it's sad to say, but there are actually a lot of cons at the moment for the game. Now, I did want to say it is still in alpha testing, so you can't be too harsh on it, but there are some very glaring issues with the game right now, which Konami needs to address rather quickly. Otherwise, Infinitas will be rather disappointing for most people when they start playing it. The first of which was that the timing wasn't quite right, and this is a really sad thing for me to hear, because for a localized version of 2DX, the most exciting thing that I was looking forward to was timing exactly the same as AC, which could be just run off one program. You didn't have to do anything funky to get the timing right. Like, you just open an application and bam, you've got the right timing. A big issue with LR2 and HDDs was that it is very finicky getting the timing right, and I don't think it is possible to get replicable AC timing in both of these programs. So I was really excited to have that AC-based timing on Infinitas, but I did not experience that when I played it. First song I picked up, I mean, obviously I had to adjust a little bit because I was playing on a new LCD monitor, so there was a bit of lag, but the timing window did drift quite a bit, and it was really noticeable on 8th notes and such, where I was just getting random fasts and slows, much like you experience on HDD. So there are timing issues there which they need to address. From what I've heard, there are some people who played the initial alpha and said that there were no timing issues whatsoever, and that they came forth in the second alpha. So it might have been something that they did between the first and second time, and I'm guessing if people give enough feedback, they'll review the timing window and hopefully fix it, because I'll be really disappointed if the timing doesn't feel on. The main reason for this, I think, is also because of the second point in the cons, which was that there was no controller support. We had to play on a standard DAW controller. Everything was stock standard except the springs and switches. I was playing on a 50 gram switch, 100 gram spring, DAW keys, FPS, which is what Zythar's running at his house. We interfaced with Infinitas using Joy to Key, which seems to be the only way to get it to work at the moment. As for people using Arson boards, I don't think it's actually possible to play Infinitas properly because of the analog turntable, and that, as I said, is a huge issue, because I know that a lot of people who are currently playing HDD are running Arson boards, and if they're not, then even still, you shouldn't need to use a third-party program in order to get a controller to interface with a software that's PC native. So one thing which they really, really need to do for the next test is make sure that there is controller support. It should be able to just interface directly to the gamepad control panel or whatever it is on the PC and just say, there's a controller in there, you can configure the keys, much like LR2 does, or Bimani Tools did. So, that'd be something great for them to do within the next release. Just make sure that controllers do work properly, because I feel like if that issue was resolved, a lot of the timing issues may also be resolved. Now, obviously, I don't know if it was that case. It might have been Joy to Key, just making the timing swing. I didn't play on keyboard because there wasn't much point given the amount of time I had to play. I only had like an hour or two. But, yeah, it is a huge issue, and they really do need to get that done at least before the beta testing, because if beta testing doesn't have controller support, there is just no point in playing. I mean, a lot of the keyboard players will love it, but, yeah, I don't think that it would help very much, not having controller support, because that's what the majority of people want a home release for. They want to be able to use their DAW controllers to play the game. The next thing which I noticed, which was a bit disappointing, was they didn't have exclusive options in there, and this is something they can address in future, obviously, but it would have been nice to have seen things like random from Pendule come in. Instead they had this weird one called Any Key, and what I thought Any Key was that you could press any key on the controller and it would hit the correct key for the song, so it just means you can mash the keys and you'll get everything right. But what Any Key actually did was it just randomized the inputs, which made it impossible to play the game. So I don't understand why they'd add in such a stupid option when you could add things which are potentially good for the game, such as Expand Judge and random, which are really, really handy tools, I think, for the game. Another huge issue, which I'm a little bit worried about, is that you may have to be online at all times to play the game. And this is a huge problem that they had with games like Diablo 2. One of the reasons why I loved CS so much is I could have taken it anywhere I wanted to go and I would have been able to play it. And that was a huge positive of having a home version. It's like I can play anytime I want, whenever I want. And I feel like having the game always online to play is going to restrict this massively. Of course, I can understand why they want to do it. They want to bind accounts to ensure that everyone is paying for the game and, you know, contributing money. But it is a worry, because I don't want to be restricted to being able to play only when I have internet access, or, you know, being limited to playing on machines with internet, which is the same thing as AC. And, you know, I think it would be great if they did find a way to have it offline play, or have a way to at least access the game without having to log in every single time. Another huge issue is that you obviously needed an EMU's account to sign up for the beta. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I'll answer it later. For the beta, for the alpha, you had to sign up with an EMU's account, meaning that obviously they're just targeting a Japanese audience at the moment. I don't think they've quite broadened their scope to consider the global community and the global support that they have for the game, which is quite huge, and they are aware of now due to all of the incidences with P-World and whatnot. So I think that they need to target a bit more globally. They can't just target a Japanese audience. They need to realise that there are so many people outside of Japan who want to play this game, and that they're really limiting their market if they do it as a Japanese-only release, which I'm quite scared of. I mean, obviously there's going to be ways around it, but it would be great if it was localized for countries outside of Japan as well, which I think. The final thing which I'm really worried about is the actual cost of the game. Konami has had in their feedback forms the ways in which people want to pay for the game, and there were a few interesting options in there. There was like a one-time payment, there was pay per songs, pay per play, pay a monthly subscription, all these different things, and it'd be really interesting to see what people would opt for to play the game. Me personally, I thought that a monthly subscription would be quite a good idea. That way, you know, you're not restricting yourself to content, you don't have to shell out hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and Konami gets money as you play. I mean, the thing which would really bug me is if they made it a pay-to-play model, so that every single time you log in, it just deducts money from your credit card. That would be absolutely ridiculous, because what if you go offline midway through a session? You know, what happens if you don't get your money's worth? I think it's a stupid model, and I really hope they don't go for that. Monthly subscription would work. I think most people are sort of moving away from that model just because it's not as popular nowadays. If you watch things like, what was it, the Game Theorist talking about how MMOs have changed to a free-to-play model with freemiums, that's quite a good model as well. I think that would work for them. I reckon it'd be good if they did it as packs. So, for example, if you bought for example, the initial Infinitas is free. You get like 12 songs that you can play, and then you can buy styles. So, for example, here's the first style pack. It's 20-something songs, and it'll cost you X amount of dollars. You know, I think that'd be quite good. And I would shell out for that, absolutely. Like, you know, it's just like buying a CS style. The only problem is then, you know, they don't have a regular way of generating income unless they start releasing content quite frequently. And it really just comes down to how Konami handles this, and this is the thing that I said with it being rather scary, because there's a lot of ways that Konami could screw this up, and I really hope that they don't. I hope that they listen to the feedback of the people that play it and review it, and actually realise that there are some glaring issues, and that it is a very delicate way of handling this this release, because it could make or break home 2DX. And, you know, it's an amazing opportunity. It's really exciting to see that they are releasing something for people to play at home, but there are so many areas where they need to sort of tread lightly or be very careful. So, for example, with their payment models, with these timing issues, with the controller support, they really need to address all of these things, and I'm scared that they won't. And if they don't, then Infinitas could just be a fantasy. It could just be another thing which is okay, but not quite as good as something like playing CS was, or playing AC right now. So those are the major points I wanted to bring up with Infinitas at the moment. It is very promising. I know that not many people have managed to play it and were wondering what it was like, so I wanted to give this review just to give you guys an overview of what I thought of it. It is promising. I mean, obviously I didn't play it for hours and hours and on end because it was 7 songs, but it has potential. It has a lot of potential, and I hope that Konami listens to the players in order to make it the best possible release that it can be within the next year or so. But that's all for me from now. Obviously, I haven't made videos for a very long time. Thank you very much for watching. If you have played Infinitas, or if you've been keeping up with the content of it, let me know what you think in the comments below, because I'm really interested to see what other people think about this. As for the releases on my channel, obviously I've been on a hiatus for a very long time because of university, but I plan to start making more content soon. I know that you guys have stayed subscribed and have been watching my content, so I want to keep going with it. I want to keep making videos that are interesting for people. If you have anything you want to see or any questions to ask, then feel free to contact me. I'm more than happy to discuss things. But that is seriously it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next 2DX video. But that's it, so bye bye for now.